Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you to speak about a painful truth, one that many of us have felt in the depth of our souls, but have often been too afraid to confront. It is a truth about the mistreatment of the individual, the injustice of ignoring the inherent value of human dignity, and the high price that is paid when one fails to recognize the worth of another. The title of my speech today is, "They mistreated you for years. It cost them everything." But understand this, it is not just about those who have mistreated you. It is also about the devastating consequences they face when they fail to see your value. To begin, let us reflect on the journey of the mistreated. Throughout history, across every generation, there have been those who have been dismissed, overlooked, or even oppressed. The world has often been too quick to judge, to reject, to diminish the potential of others based on their own biases, misunderstandings, or insecurities. But in doing so, those who mistreat others have failed to recognize one essential truth. Every person carries within them a unique purpose, a divine potential that cannot be destroyed by the hands of others. I want you to understand, first and foremost, that the mistreatment you have endured does not define your value. Just because others fail to see your worth does not mean you are worthless. Just because you were ignored, neglected, or belittled does not change the intrinsic purpose that resides within you. In fact, it has been said that when a man or a woman is treated unfairly, it often ignites a fire within them, a drive to prove that they are more than what others perceive them to be. It ignites a desire to rise above the limitations placed upon them and show the world the fullness of who they were always meant to be. Now let us consider the impact on those who mistreat. In their short-sightedness, in their haste to disregard, they may not realize the long-term consequences of their actions. You see, mistreatment is not a harmless act. It is a violation of the law of respect, and the price that must be paid for disrespecting the dignity of another is always high. When you dismiss someone's value, you are not just robbing them of their potential. You are also robbing yourself of the opportunity to benefit from the greatness they carry. You are diminishing the possibilities that could have been unlocked had you chosen to value them. There are few things more costly than missing the opportunity to recognize greatness when it is before you. When we fail to see the value in others, we also fail to see the potential opportunities that lie within our own lives. Imagine for a moment how many doors are closed, how many dreams are deferred because of a failure to recognize the worth of others. The leaders, the dreamers, the innovators, the builders, all of these people carry with them a unique purpose, a set of gifts and talents that, when nurtured, can bring transformation to entire nations. But when we mistreat them, when we reject their potential, we inadvertently close the doors to our own future. Do you know what is more costly than the physical or emotional scars left by mistreatment? It is the loss of the opportunity to experience the greatness that could have been, the greatness that was in you, the greatness that could have been shared with the world, the greatness that others could have nurtured if they had simply chosen to honor you, to believe in you, to treat you with respect and dignity. When they mistreated you, they didn't just hurt you, they robbed themselves of the chance to experience the very gifts and talents you had to offer. This is why mistreatment costs everything. It costs the future. It costs progress. It costs growth. It costs the possibilities of what could have been. But here's the truth we must also embrace. While they may have mistreated you for years, it does not mean they have won. It does not mean that your story is over. No, the mistreatment they inflicted upon you is not the final chapter of your life. In fact, it is often the case that those who are mistreated the most are the ones who rise the highest. For there is something about adversity that ignites strength. There is something about being pushed down, about being misunderstood, that pushes you to find within yourself an untapped potential, a resilience that cannot be broken. Understand, they did not destroy you. They only made you stronger. They only helped you to discover a level of strength, a level of perseverance that you never knew you had. And now, as you stand in the place of triumph, you have the opportunity to do what they never did. You can recognize the value of others. You can lift them up. You can show the world that it is not our circumstances that define us, but our ability to rise above them. The greatest lesson we can learn from mistreatment is not to retaliate, not to be bitter, but to acknowledge that we are all part of something greater than ourselves. We are all here for a purpose. And no person, no matter how much they try, can take that purpose away from us. The most powerful revenge we can have is not in causing harm to those who mistreated us, but in living out our purpose, in fulfilling the dreams they tried to suppress. It is time to rise, not because they mistreated you, but because your value transcends their actions. It is time to rise because your purpose is not contingent upon the opinions of others. It is time to rise because you understand that mistreatment is a reflection of their failure, not yours. You were not born to be treated as less than, and though they may have thought they could silence you, they could not stifle the greatness within you. That greatness is now awakening, and there is nothing that can stop it. So, to those who mistreated you, understand this: you may have caused pain, but in the end, it will be you who pays the price. You may have disregarded the value of another, but that will come back to you in ways you cannot yet understand. The cost of mistreatment is far greater than any momentary advantage gained from injustice. For in the end, when all is said and done, the measure of a person's life will not be determined by how they treated others, but by how they allowed others to live into their full potential. And now it is time for you to live. It is time to show the world that despite the mistreatment, you are still here, and you are not just surviving. You are thriving. You are rising higher than they could have ever imagined. Your purpose is greater than the wounds you've suffered, and your potential is stronger than the pain you've endured. They may have mistreated you for years, but it cost them everything. And now the world will see the greatness that they failed to recognize. Thank you. Mistreatment does not define your value. It is an unfortunate reality that many people experience mistreatment throughout their lives. This mistreatment may come in various forms: emotional, physical, psychological, or even systemic. It often leaves deep scars that affect one's self-esteem, sense of belonging, and identity. However, it is crucial to understand that the mistreatment you endure is not a reflection of who you truly are. It does not diminish your worth, nor does it have the power to strip you of your intrinsic value. People often project their insecurities, fears, or biases onto others, leading to unfair judgments or dismissals. When someone treats you poorly, it speaks more about their own limitations and shortcomings than it does about your character. The act of mistreating others is rooted in ignorance, fear, or an inability to see beyond one's own narrow perspective. It stems from a lack of understanding of your unique gifts, potential, and the depth of your humanity. Those who mistreat often fail to recognize the greatness that exists within you. But just because they fail to see it doesn't mean it isn't there. The true measure of your worth is not determined by the opinions, behaviors, or actions of others. Your value is inherent and constant, regardless of how others treat you. It is not something that can be taken away, diminished, or reduced by the mistreatment of others. It exists within you, deeply rooted in your identity and your purpose. Just because someone fails to recognize that does not mean it disappears. Your potential and your worth remain intact even if others choose to ignore it or act in a way that is dismissive of who you are. Every person is created with a unique set of gifts, talents, and experiences that contribute to their purpose in this world. These qualities cannot be erased by negative actions or unfair treatment. In fact, mistreatment can sometimes serve as a catalyst for discovering the depths of your resilience, strength, and capacity to rise above adversity. When you understand that your value is unshakable and unaffected by others' mistreatment, you can move through life with greater confidence, knowing that nothing outside of yourself can take away what was always meant to be yours. Failing to recognize others' worth costs everyone involved. It is a tragedy when people fail to see the value in others. Whether it's because of prejudice, jealousy, ignorance, or a lack of understanding, mistreating or disregarding someone's potential does not just affect the individual who is being mistreated, it also negatively impacts the one who fails to recognize the value of others. In many ways, this failure is a loss for both parties as it closes doors to opportunities, growth, and meaningful relationships. When we dismiss or devalue others, we limit our own potential for growth and understanding. Every person you encounter has something to offer, something unique that could enrich your life perspective and experiences. When you fail to acknowledge their worth, you are depriving yourself of the opportunity to learn, grow, and evolve. The wisdom, creativity, and insights that others possess are treasures that, when recognized, can open up new possibilities for collaboration, innovation, and mutual success. By disregarding someone's value, you forfeit the chance to benefit from their contribution. And in doing so, you also close yourself off from the richness that diversity and different perspectives bring. This failure to see value also harms the person who is being mistreated. When someone's worth is overlooked or dismissed, it not only affects their sense of self-worth, but also their ability to contribute fully to society. When individuals feel devalued, they may retreat into themselves, suppress their talents, or even abandon their dreams. The cost of mistreating someone is often more profound than anyone realizes. When people are ignored or oppressed, they may not be able to show up as their best selves, and society as a whole suffers because of it. A world that fails to recognize the value in others limits the full potential of its people and undermines the collective growth of communities, organizations, and even nations. Moreover, when someone fails to see the value in others, it perpetuates a cycle of negativity and division. It creates an environment where people feel undervalued and disconnected from one another. The consequences of this ripple outward, creating an atmosphere of mistrust, resentment, and missed opportunities for collaboration and unity. Therefore, the failure to recognize another's worth is not just a personal loss, but a societal one. It impacts everyone involved, preventing the kind of progress that comes from respect, empathy, and mutual support. Adversity can ignite inner strength and resilience. It is often through the most difficult moments in life that we uncover the depths of our own capabilities. When faced with hardship, many people discover a well of strength they never knew they had, a strength that emerges not from comfort but from challenge. Adversity has a unique way of sharpening the human spirit, forcing it to adapt, grow, and become more than it once was. It is in the face of obstacles, pain, and difficulty that we tap into our inner resources and build resilience. The struggle itself becomes the forge in which character is shaped. When life challenges us, it often feels like an insurmountable force. Yet when we push through, when we confront the pain head on and refuse to be defeated, we realize that what once seemed impossible is now within our reach. In times of adversity, people often find themselves doing things they once thought they could never do, stepping up in ways they didn't believe they were capable of. Whether it's rising from the ashes of a personal tragedy, overcoming financial hardship, or navigating the complexities of relationships, adversity has a way of pushing us beyond our limitations. Resilience is not simply the ability to endure hardship. It is the capacity to bounce back stronger, wiser, and more determined than before. Every setback carries within it the seed of personal growth. The key to developing resilience lies in how we respond to adversity. Some may choose to let it break them, while others will choose to learn from it, to grow through it. The difference is not found in the absence of hardship, but in how we face it. Those who embrace adversity as a teacher find strength in the process, understanding that the obstacles they face are not the end of their story, but the beginning of a new chapter. It's important to realize that adversity, though painful, is not a punishment. It is a transformative force. It reveals what we are truly capable of, even when we feel at our weakest. When we persevere, when we continue to move forward despite the setbacks, we build an unshakable confidence in our own abilities. Each challenge becomes a stepping stone, each obstacle a chance to grow stronger and more resolute in our purpose. It is in this process that we discover who we really are and what we can truly achieve. The most powerful response to mistreatment is to live out your purpose. When others mistreat us, it is easy to feel hurt, betrayed, or even defeated. The natural response may be to retaliate, to seek revenge, or to withdraw in anger. But the most profound response, the one that ultimately empowers you, is to rise above the mistreatment and continue on the path toward fulfilling your purpose. Living out your purpose is not just about achieving personal success. It is about demonstrating to the world that you will not be defined by the injustice or negativity of others. It is about showing the power of resilience, integrity, and focus in the face of adversity. Mistreatment is often a reflection of someone else's inability to see your worth or potential. But your worth does not hinge on their recognition. When you choose to live out your purpose, you are sending a powerful message, not just to those who mistreated you, but to yourself. You are declaring that your value is not determined by their opinions or actions, and that you are committed to becoming the person you were always meant to be. No one has the power to dictate your future unless you allow them to. By staying true to your purpose, you refuse to let external forces control your destiny. Moreover, living out your purpose in the face of mistreatment is a form of self-empowerment. It allows you to channel your energy into something positive, into something that aligns with your deepest values and passions. When you focus on fulfilling your purpose, the negativity of others becomes insignificant in comparison to the work you are doing. Your purpose becomes your guiding light, leading you through the darkness of mistreatment, and it keeps you focused on the long-term vision instead of the short-term pain. In doing so, you also inspire others. There are people watching who may have experienced their own mistreatment or are facing their own struggles. When they see you continue to push forward, despite the challenges you face, you give them the courage to do the same. Your perseverance becomes a beacon of hope, proving that despite the harshness of the world, the most powerful response is to keep moving toward your destiny, no matter how others try to hold you back. Mistreatment ultimately reflects the failure of those who impose it, not the victims. It is crucial to understand that when someone mistreats you, it is a reflection of their own limitations, insecurities, or misunderstandings. It speaks more about who they are than it does about you. People who mistreat others often do so because they are unable to recognize the inherent value in the person they are harming. They may act out of ignorance, fear, jealousy, or even a sense of powerlessness, attempting to diminish someone else in order to feel superior or to mask their own inadequacies. However, the reality is that mistreatment reveals their inability to see or appreciate the true worth of others, and it speaks volumes about their lack of understanding. It is important to recognize that when someone mistreats you, they are not just hurting you. They are revealing their own inner struggles. Whether they are unaware of the damage they are causing or intentionally trying to undermine you, their behavior is a reflection of their own issues and not an accurate representation of who you are. Those who have the wisdom to see beyond such negativity understand that mistreatment is not a direct attack on their identity or value. Instead, it is a product of someone else's flawed perspective or inability to treat others with respect. Furthermore, the true cost of mistreatment falls upon the one who is causing harm. While they may think that they are gaining an advantage, they are actually losing something far more valuable: relationships, trust, and respect. No one can thrive in an environment where mistreatment and injustice prevail. Those who engage in such behavior may momentarily feel empowered, but in the long run, they will find themselves isolated, disrespected, and often alone. The foundation of any healthy relationship, whether personal or professional, is built on trust and mutual respect. Once those are eroded by mistreatment, the relationship becomes unsustainable, and the individual who perpetrates the mistreatment loses far more than they gain. When you understand that mistreatment reflects the failure of those who inflict it, you can shift your perspective. Instead of internalizing the hurt or allowing their actions to define you, you can see their behavior for what it truly is: a reflection of their inability to recognize your value. This understanding allows you to distance yourself from their negativity, to rise above it, and to maintain your sense of self-worth despite their attempts to diminish you. You recognize that the problem lies not within you, but within them. In life, we are bound to encounter mistreatment, whether it comes from individuals, systems, or society as a whole. Mistreatment is an unfortunate reality that many of us face at some point. However, it is essential to recognize that mistreatment is not a reflection of our worth or potential. It is, in fact, a result of the ignorance, fear, or insecurities of those who impose it. Understanding this simple truth empowers us to navigate life's challenges with resilience, strength, and purpose. First and foremost, it's critical to know that the mistreatment we experience does not define who we are. Our value is not determined by how others treat us, but by the inherent greatness within us. Mistreatment may cause pain, but it cannot strip away our worth. It may make us question ourselves temporarily, but if we hold on to the belief that we are valuable, we can rise above it. The strength and potential we possess are not contingent on the perceptions or actions of others. Our worth remains constant regardless of their inability to recognize it. Moreover, when we are mistreated, it is important to understand that the cost of such behavior is not ours alone. Those who mistreat others ultimately pay the price, even if they are unaware of it. Failing to see the value in another person limits growth, both for the individual doing the mistreating and for the wider community. By disregarding someone's potential, they close themselves off from the opportunity to learn, grow, and benefit from that person's unique contributions. Ultimately, the failure to recognize the worth of others is a loss that harms everyone involved. Adversity, though painful, can often lead us to discover the strength we never knew we had. It is in times of hardship that we develop resilience and inner strength. Adversity has a way of igniting our potential, pushing us to evolve into a stronger version of ourselves. Instead of allowing mistreatment to break us, we can choose to rise above it, using our challenges as a stepping stone to achieve our purpose. When we continue to live with purpose, even in the face of mistreatment, we demonstrate to ourselves and the world that we will not be defined by the negativity of others. Our purpose becomes the guiding force that keeps us focused, grounded, and determined no matter the obstacles we face. The ultimate power in overcoming mistreatment lies in our ability to live out our purpose. When we continue on our path, undeterred by the wrongs done to us, we not only rise above the mistreatment, but also inspire others to do the same. Our perseverance serves as a beacon of hope to those around us, showing them that mistreatment is not an end, but a challenge to be overcome. By staying true to our purpose, we not only affirm our own worth, but we also set an example for others to follow. In the end, mistreatment reflects the failure of those who impose it, not the victims. It reveals their inability to see the value and potential in others. When we understand this, we can stop internalizing the hurt and instead focus on our own growth, knowing that their actions do not diminish who we are. we can rise above, continue on our journey, and live out our purpose with strength and integrity. In doing so, we not only overcome mistreatment, but transform it into the fuel that drives us forward, proving that no one can define our worth except ourselves.